or attacking than just doing either one of them, right? For example, I think he's a pretty good goalie, but sometimes you want to go up here and drop some stuff, right? And so that's why she's better than mid character. He's as good in this field, right? This guy is very, very mid. This is very mid. He's more like a back forward because her range is pretty good anyway. Let's compare Kai then to Estelle mostly, right? So, hello everyone, Modern here. So I have fallen in love with this game, but Omega Strikers, baby. So I saw the opening of MEREOLEONA, I was like, oh, I'll play this game. And today, I will give you not one, but 2 videos about Omega Strikers, okay? One tier list, I'm making a tier list, subscribe for that video, press like and so on. Tier list, of course, but in this video here first, I want to discuss what is the actual good positioning. Where should you actually be as Asher? Where should you stand as Kai and so on? So let's talk about it. And in this first video here, I want to discuss positioning, right? Honestly. In the next video, I will do a tier list. But in this video here, I want to discuss forward, goalie, and what I call mid, right? If anything is more important in this game, it's not actually who is the best, you know, who is the strongest character, who is the weakest, right? I still want to make a tier list, but what is more interesting and much more important to understand in this game is if I'm playing forward, which character are good forwards, right? Which character are good goalies? This might sound like an obvious thing, but I think it's a huge issue I see. People that really strike is they play the wrong, mostly the wrong goalie. Also, I want to establish the concept of mid, right? Kind of the mid. But I also really want to establish the second issue I really see, a terrible team. And why? Well, mostly it's because it depends on course context, right? But most good teams in these games are one, you know, forward, and I mean hard forward, right? Forward in their goal, X, Asher, etc. They can really stay on top of their team, right? Your next character should preferably be, we got Estelle now, that's a pretty good mid character, right? And then we have a bunch of different goalies, right? So, for example, right, I see my team is X and Asher, right? You know, big ass tank, big ass tank. I should preferably play a mid character, right? There we go. Even if I'm playing Rasmus now and I prefer to be in the middle, you know, you can see I'm playing, you know, very forward, he's in the middle, right? And now I prefer, right, to spec toward my position, right? So absolutely he's gonna spec for tank, right? Be the muscles. And she specs for tanking muscle, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna spec for speed guys, right? I wanna be a fast, nimble guy. But this guy, he's playing mid with X for some reason, right? He should be where I am at X, right? But you can see I am taking that forward. I am very, very aggressive front. He's in the middle, right? So he can pass me, I can disrupt his shots, right? Nice. So since I'm taking this super forward, right? He can play in the mid, right? Yeah, think about it a lot, right? You don't have just forward and goal. You have forward and super, you know, forward. There we go. So I was thinking, you know, he's in the middle, I'm in the front, right? And that was very simply, but I was thinking, like, where should I stand, right, compared to where these other guys standing? But anyway, let's go into the actual positioning, right? So I'm talking about tier list here, so I'm rather looking at where should a character be placed, right? So of course here, to the left, this is our goal, right? The goal is. This is what I call the middle role, right? And then we have the forward, right? So let me first easy picks then. X, which I think is the best character probably for forward. He is forward, heavily forward. In the game example there, he actually played mid. We won 3-0, but I would have preferred to stay in the middle with Rasmus, right? And he should push against them, right? But anyway, so it's kind of the beginning of it. Another character course, which is heavily forward, is Juliette, you know. So usually you can see the trend, right, of character that is to kill off people, right? The KOs. The reason is because, and this is also the reason, I'll talk about it later more in the tier list, but X is arguably the best character in the game, right? I think he's the best character probably. And that's because X has an incredibly easy way to knock people out, right? And that's even true against goalies, which is a hard knockout, but he can do it. And Juliette is also very good at knocking out the goalies, right? So what you want first and foremost in your, what I call power forward, right, is you want this like muscle, right? You can push them out, right? And even if you can't defeat them with X, you can kind of, you know, you can kind of disturb them, right? So you can don't actually score the goal, right? So you get there, feel the same thing, shit these combos, right? Get people out and so on. Centaur with his Oni blade, I think it's a good example as well, right? He's not as good as kicking out people as these two, but he can definitely very easily kick out the goalie if the goalie is weakened, right? His ultimate basically is unavoidable, right? So he can very easily kill you as well there. Usually banned, I feel. Yeah, we get a goal so it's bad all the time, so that's probably the reason why. But anyway, this kind of that forward, right? Power forward, okay. With power forward here. Then, let's say the goalie. Okay, Dobu, he's obviously goalie, right? And there's something here, right? Dobu, you can only play as goalie, basically, right? In a sense, it's actually not a good character in that way there, because most characters, I should say most, but I think most characters can still work in either form, right? But he can basically only be goalie. He's so slow. He's very tanky, of course. His ability, you know, builds his shield basically and so on. So I'm not saying he's a bad goalie, but he's a terrible forward. Yeah, so he's very, very, he's like up here, right? He's very, very far back. Extremely far back, okay. Atlas is interesting. Atlas also works as a forward. He can be very, very annoying, knock people out. But if you look from this standpoint, you should probably play him in the goalie, right? But he's also a useful forward, I think. He can be very aggressive with his shield killing people, but Dobu is much harder to get it done, so Atlas is a better character, but you know, whatever, okay. Lastly, this is kinda it, okay. I'm just saying that this, okay. Build video here. This is kinda it. These are the character that you, especially Dobu, you definitely want to play him as a goalie, right? Do not play more here, you crazy, basically. Atlas can actually be really good here, but also he's an incredibly good goalie, right? These characters here are incredibly good forwards, and also pretty shitty ass goalie. You try to goalie with X, I tried that. X is my best character, right? Yeah, highest win rate for me. So when I play him in forward, I've been basically every game, right? When I play him in defense, he's useless. Asher, not a very good character, come to later. She is also a good forward, but also a good goalie, right? So you can kind of see X is very limited in that sense, right? He can't really defend, right? But anyway, the rest of them are somewhere in the middle, honestly, right? Not Asher, she's either here or here. So it's special, but again, come to her later then. But the rest of them are kind of like, you know, I'm somewhere in the middle, right? So let's start with, this might be the most essential middle guy, right? Because he's kind of like, I can be here, I can be here, I can set over here. You kind of want to set over time. He's a perfect example, I think. Honestly, probably the best example of a character that really should be in the middle, right? Defending with your stealth is pretty useless, right? Attacking like forward here is not useless, so he definitely is more forward than back, right? But it's not really like super effective, because you want to kind of like attack the middle guys. It's harder to kill the goalie. His power isn't that strong. You usually want to, you know, defeat people on the corners, right? So he's a perfect, like, I am in the middle, right? It's a very, very essential I am in the middle player. And you know, I would say similarly, she's also a very good middle character, right? Because you can drop your balls, you control the ball and so on. She works as a goalie pretty well, right? Because you can drop your stuff and so on. As a forward, also pretty well. But generally speaking, she's a middle player, right? You want to be in the middle and shut off your stuff over here and kind of disturbs. Because you can basically you can go back, right, with her and drop some slime here and help your team. Or you can go forward and confuse the defender, right? So she's also a middle character, definitely. Another good example is what's the name again? Era. I just call her Shy Cute Witch. I call her Cute Witch. Era. Era. Very similar, right? She can go faster, she can speed up and so on. Her use storm ball thing is very, very powerful. So she also is a goalie in a sense, but also can be the middle. But in her example then, not a very good forward actually. I don't think she's good forward. I think she's a very good, you know, middle to back, right? So let's put it like here somewhere. Because I don't think she's as good in this field, right? This guy is very, very middle. This is very middle. She's more like a back forward because her range is pretty good anyway. Estelle, actually the best goalie I've ever seen in my life, the best goalie in my team was an Estelle player. He was an amazing player. He was like beta, gold, diamond guy, and he used to defend. He never moved, but he was teleported around her. It was beautiful. But basically Estelle, I don't think it's a very good like power forward either at all. She's also probably here, right? You know, good range, can easily help your goalie, and you can attack, right? Maybe she should be here, but I would argue she's here, right? She's also, just like Era, with her range abilities, she's a character that mostly will move up to here, right? You don't have to go here, but it'll really help your team to go that close. At the same time, if you're here, you might want to teleport back and help the team here, right? So she's much more of a, like, she moves like here, right? You know, in the blue. She's like in the blue, right? Same thing with Era. They're both like in the blue, right? Where I think that, again, then, can move more like his. She moves more like to the blue, to the red, right? This is the same thing with Drektar. Drektar. I don't know. It's like a walking guy. Anyway, let's keep going. Okay, take the hard one later. Amy, in my opinion, one of the best goalies. Okay, I throw it out there. She's an amazing goalie. Okay, this is probably maybe a more controversial opinion here, but I think that Amy is a really good goalkeeper, right? Because she has an incredible range. Bigger range skill, she can shoot stuff from the whole field. But honestly, I don't think you should play her in defense at all. Or sorry, I don't think you should play her at all in the forward. She should only play in defense, right? Because her abilities, very easily do you get like max range of them, right? Because you get your passive thing as a goalie, and then you pick one of the range sparks, right? Suddenly, you can stand over here and you can shoot the whole map, right? And you summon her thing and it shoots. So for her, very rarely do you need to go over across this part, right, to hit everything, yeah. Very rarely do you need to go over here. You're very effective as a goalie. And I think, of course, the same thing is with Luna, right? And Luna, in a similar way, is also a goalie, right? That, you know, jumps forward, jumps back again, and so on. So they're very similar. So I put them back here, then. They're kind of like aggressive, long-range goal shooters, right? They're very, very effective standing over here. And honestly, probably one of the better goals of both of these characters, filling up that kind of like long-range attack goals, right? Very, very good. Now let's compare Kai then to Estelle mostly, right? They are very similar. As in the opening, the kind of long-range, you know, hotties, right? But seriously, Kai is very similar to her, so let's just put her up like this in comparison. But I would say that Kai, the difference is that he's more, you know, he's slightly worse range, but he's faster, he can strike more, right? So he's more a character that kind of is here, right? He's also in the middle, he moves here, you can defend with him and so on, but he's kind of fast. But he prefers to be either here, right, back and forth, but probably a little bit over here. So I would say he's like here, right, kind of like the quarter off into that thing, when she's on the other side, right, so he kind of counters her in that sense. And like I said though, I think that Kai's a terrible goalie, right? He's a popular goalie, I think it's terrible, okay? One reason is Estelle, when she teleports, she can save the ball from many hard times, right? Where he can't, he has to run after the ball. It's much harder to defend your goal against tricky shots, right? So if you're gonna play Kai in defense, honestly, I don't see why. I don't see why. It's much better playing Estelle, right? She fulfills the same role with almost the same mechanics. Of course, sometimes he's better, but most of the time she does the exact same thing but better, right? But in attack, on the other hand, then his speed, you know, like a buff, right? So you run faster. That's more effective. You're gonna go like this, like, trick you and so on, yeah. Then one teleport. So I think her job is much better in defense. So this kind of idea. But they're very similar. They're very similar, and they both are, again, a mid character, I would say, not like a forward character. Okay? Rasmus fits a very similar role. You know, he's also running back and forth. He got a dash, right? He got a buff speed dash thing, similar to Kai, but also attack with it. He got his weird, like, you know, pull past myself with the Sitcha, and then he got his, like, mid-range tag. So he's got the essential mid guy, too. I think he's really underpowered, though, in my opinion. Talk about it in the next video. But he's actually one of my favorite characters. I think it's really fun to play him. I like his character. He can revert the ball and so on, right? But Jesus Christ, I think it's pretty low. He's like a low-tier mid guy. But seriously, he is obviously very mid. I said earlier in the video, right, I showed him playing him, and he is I think he's the funniest character to play, probably, from a mid standpoint. He's my go-to, like, I'm gonna be in the middle, right? But I struggle to see why he's so bad, right, honestly. The issue probably is that how the Sitcha is just, it's really annoying how it flies to you sometimes, and it feels like it shouldn't fly to you. One thing I will say, though, specifically, right, it's Amy's map, right, when you have the hole in the middle. Oh my god, okay, then I would say he's OP though, yeah, depending on the stage, which is true, and I haven't even addressed that, right, but some characters, of course, are much better on certain stages, and he's incredibly easy for him to kill them in the hole in the middle. So, yeah, that's not true for every character. X is also very good, and Juliette are very good at pushing him into the middle. But his reverse ultimate that pushes him towards him, it's so easy to stand, next side of the hole, right? Like you stand here, and he stands here, and they will immediately fly into the hole. Yeah, this is very, very good. It's extremely easy to kill people into the hole in the middle. Incredibly easy. Into the character, we can teleport, jump around, or Rune, as I would say, right, as a Swede. Rune. That's like my grandpa's name, yeah. My grandpa, and I kid you guys not, okay? My grandpa actually has the same name as one of the male characters. You can guess what, but Rune is actually... Rune was my grandpa's neighbor's name, okay? So when I visited my grandpa, grandma, their best friend, neighbor, so his name was Rune. But yeah, Rune was his neighbor. But anyway, Rune is an interesting character, and I think it's a goalie, right? I'm gonna come back to this goalie. Rune is similar to Atlas, right? And also Dubu. You create his weird teleporting... Both you teleport with him, and also when you create just the general sphere, right? It's very hard, actually, I think, to score on Rune. He's super annoying. Sometimes even the hardest guy to score on. And I think the reason why is, again, a stage thing, though. So, depending on what stage it is, right? If you play, for example, they're talking about that Amy stage, right? When you have the little bar in the middle with the hearts on, then Rune is incredibly good. Because it's so easy to defend that part, right? Very, very easy. I think some other stages, when they're more open and bigger to run around and they're bigger hit areas, then it's weaker. But it kind of follows Atlas as well, right? So Atlas and Rune are very similar. And I think that Rune is arguably a better character than Atlas for defense, because he can defend with his, again then, the spheres and a teleport. But you can also, similar to like Luna and Amy, you can run over and attack them and teleport back very easily, even without having the spark for home teleport, right? Very easily. So he's kind of, you can suddenly be very aggressive with him if you want to. So I don't know, he's like a weird character where you play either very defensively, but he can suddenly be yeah, so I don't know, he's like somewhere here, but I put him here then, and suddenly something to have this. I guess he's like here, like some kind of in the middle of them. Yeah, he's like here somewhere. Not as tanky as those two, but also somewhat aggressive, as aggressive. And then lastly, we got my wife, of course, MEREOLEONA, I mean Asher, I have obviously MEREOLEONA, and she's a power forward, right? Holy shit, do I see people play Asher wrong all the time, yeah. My god, okay, does she work in defense? I mean, sure, she's tanky, she can like do her shield thing, right, that pushes people away, and that thing, similar to Dobu and so on, right, it creates like a shield so you can, stop the ball. I mean, she's fine, but oh my god. Ash is my main, right, because she's the waifu, and I play her the most by far, her and X probably. And her ability, Pathsplitter, yeah. So if you use Pathsplitter with Ash, right, this is the best ability in the game, arguably, but also the best ability in the game, to just KO people, right, yeah. If you hit someone with Pathsplitter, they're basically toast, right, in so many situations. And Pathsplitter is such a good ability to defeat the other goalie with, right? Because X, I think is the best character for generally killing people, right? In center, in the middle, right? On most stages, on the general stage. But Pathsplitter is the best anti-goalie attack. And the goals are the hard one to kill, right? They have more, knockback or whatever. They're tanky and so on. So that's what Asher really, really shines. She's the ultimate, like, I will defeat you with my ultimate, right? And if you play Asher, and I play her a lot. I played like 50 hours only Asher, right? When I started playing this game, the first like 50, 60 games, I only played Asher. I played Asher for like 3-4 days straight. No other character, right? And every game, I basically spec for creation. I spec for bigger stuff, right? Bigger Pathsplitter, bigger, longer duration, bigger size, right? Those buffs, right? Momentum and so on. Those stuff, you can basically always kill the goalie with that. Or any side player, right? So no, Asher should actually be here. She's arguably the best forward by far. But I think that she's, again, the best because she's the best at knocking out the goalie, right? So if you put Anita here, she's probably like even more aggressive. But to be fair, I probably put them out, so it's probably more like this something, to be fair. He's probably more like here, slightly more agile, and she's the last one to be like, I will defeat the goalie, I will kill the goalie. These three are like, I will kill the goalie. This guy's slightly more agile, little more Rasmus, but he's still more aggressive Rasmus, right? And maybe he will kill the goalie if the goal is weak already. It's kind of like, I guess for center now, it's kind of like, if the goalie is already weakened, then he can very easily kill them, even better than these guys. But it's kind of hard for him to do it by himself. So if you think about team composition, right? If you already have an X, right, or an Asher or whatever, then he can usually easily use defeat the goalie after they've hurt the goalie with the ultimate, right? That's probably where he really shines as a finisher, probably, if anything. Rasmus similarly can kinda finish, but he's pretty bad. So, but anyway, guys, it's kind of the team, right? And I really think Asher probably the most wrongly positioned character in the game, right? I think this is true. That being said, I mean, obviously Asher is a pretty good tank as well as a goalie, right? She's pretty tanky. She can stand there. Her ultimate will usually just protect the goal, right? And it is pretty easy to like kill someone if they take the goal with you, right? And one thing, for example, she does is very hard to defeat her, right, as a goalie, because if you go at her hard with X or whatever, you can easily deflect them with the shield, right? And then he either dies or has to go back, right? So, okay, she's a fine goalie, but I think one reason why I made the video is because she's a perfect example, and she's a perfect example of a character that is actually forward heavy. Yeah, she's incredibly good at forward. Similar to Juliet and X, you actually want to have her and defeat the goalie, right? You want to have her mess up the goalie or push out the goalie. That's what she does the best, actually. Much better than having her in defense. So I think she's probably the biggest like misplayed character. I see the same thing with like probably with Kai, like running around him, a lot of gold with Kai. I think he's weak, right? He has projectile, but the thing is that why do you play Kai? And I don't think he's the worst goalie ever, but he's a goalie. But why do you play him as a goalie? You can much rather play Amy or Loon as a goalie, doing the same thing, you know. Oh, I stand in the goal and throw projectile, but their projectile actually flies the whole screen, right? His projectile flies like to here somewhere. So why? Yeah, he's a little faster with his thing, but he does way less than they do in defense. Absolutely, and. Again, though, to iterate, I think the important part, probably the most right here in my video, I think is this kind of concept, right? That you have goalie, mid character, forward, right? They can be the passer character. You know, these characters are passers, they are faster or nimble. They can pass the ball to the brute in the front, right? And these characters are some kind of weird middle killer or something. They do something. Now, Juno, I think is very good, actually. I think Juno is one of the best characters, right? Because of her, maybe not randomness, but her slime balls, right, can really change the projectile in just a weird way and help you out so much, right? But again, that's why she's a really good mid character, because she can put her slimes here or here, right, you know, on the side, and it's just so hard for the team to deal with that. She can always assist, as I mentioned earlier, either in defense or in the front, right? And it's just a very, very useful character, and it's much more useful for her that she can either be defending or attacking than just doing either one of them, right? For example, I think she's a pretty good goalie, but sometimes you want to go up here and drop some stuff, right? And so that's why she's better than mid character. Or if somebody's on mid. And then lastly, I guess, character like Rune, you can play for so, but not really. I don't think Rune is actually useful. He's probably isn't a good character, actually. Rune isn't very useful, I feel, in the front, because he can be kind of annoying with his weird teleport and his it's somewhat good to like banish the goalie, I guess, but it's like a worse ultimate than Asher, so you kind of like, oh yeah, because his sphere things, honestly, maybe I'm a bad rune player, but I think his sphere things are hard to make it aim correctly. It's easy to put one ball here and push the ball away, but sometimes it's very hard to kind of keep the ball, you know, going the right direction, right, with his spheres. So they're much better in defense, just blocking. That being said, though, I have played Rune in forward, of course, many times as well. And when I play him in forward, he should probably be somewhere here, right? Because you can put your spheres here, in the middle, maybe here. And so if their goalie puts out the ball, then you can block the ball's path, like somewhere here, right? And make it go back again. So he's pretty good in this kind of range then. Similar to, like, you know, a mid-range character with, like, somewhat half the screen attacks, right? But I would say that he's better goal. But anyway, guys, that's the video. How to position yourself in Omega Strikers. I think it's very important, right? And I also just iterate this thing, right? Like I showed you guys earlier, when I play type of Rasmus, right? I think it's a good example of, oh, I see that my team is like Asher and X, right? If I then play, for example, Juliette, that, in my opinion, be a terrible pick, right? Because I'm picking 3, you know, super fighters, right? Okay, sure, my teammate is playing Asher over here, but still, you know what I mean? It'll be really hard to play this team, right? So I want to pick a character here, right? You know what I mean? That's why I was thinking about the game. I try to, if I'm my last pick, of course, then, I'm trying to pick myself into where we have a hole, right? You know? And basically, if you play goalie, it's kind of like whatever. But if you play forward, you're the second forward pick. So if instead that if my ally picked Estelle, right, as their forward, I would pick X. You know what I mean? If they pick Kai, I would pick X, right? If they pick Era, I would pick X. If they pick that, pick X. No, but I get my point. If they pick anyone in this red zone, then I'm gonna pick a character in the blue zone, right? If they pick a character in the blue zone, I pick a character in the red zone. You know what I mean? That's what I think about it, right? I think all the color, yeah. If you blue, I'm red, and if you red, I'm blue, right? That's how I think about it. And of course, it frustrates me sometimes. I haven't posted, even if I play pretty. I'm not like super high ranked. I think I'm pretty high in this game, and so far, I think so. I believe so for the game. But anyway, when I play with my allies, of course, somewhat I get annoyed if I pick, you know, red, and they also pick a red. I'm just like, okay, yeah, we're gonna have very, very front punching them in the face team. It's gonna be very hard to win. All that being said, though, last thing I say here, subscribe and so on, subscribe and like that. But also, last thing I will say, obviously though, all that being said, right, obviously, sometimes though, everything I said here is completely invalid given their team, right? You know, sometimes you see the opponent having like, oh, they got 3 really, really, you know, squishy characters with 0 defense points, right? These characters are very easy to defeat, and my teammate is already X. I might still pick, you know, Juliette or whatever, right? But I can see that, oh my god, their team is so weak against, you know, 3 brutes, right? You just pick 3 brutes, right? Of course, you have those situations where it's like, oh my god, they are so weak against this character, right? Sometimes, but that's kind of like where your opponent are picking themselves into like a really weird team, and you're like, oh, I can see the counter very easily here. But that's pretty rare, though, right? That's pretty rare, and you shouldn't really think like that. But it's sometimes it's kind of obvious. You're like, wow, they're picking this team. Okay, let's counter pick them. Right? Of course, you have counter picks and so on, right? Of course. And I guess hope you liked the video. Please subscribe, stop button, and have a great day.